Retro gamers everywhere are hyped about this week's upcoming launch of the SNES Classic. Nintendo's hotly pre-ordered mini console drops this Friday, September 29th at retailers. Fortunately, we've had a couple of days of hands-on time with the system, so now we can tell you everything you need to know before you go out and buy it. You know, assuming you can get your hands on one. First, let's get some basics out of the way that we pretty much knew about beforehand. Of course, the SNES Classic comes stocked with 21 games from the Super Nintendo era. It's got Contra 3, The Alien Wars, Donkey Kong Country, Earthbound, Final Fantasy 3, or Final Fantasy 6, whichever you prefer, F-Zero, Kirby's Dream Course, Kirby Superstar, Mega Man X, Secret of Mana, Star Fox, Street Fighter 2, Turbo Hyper Fighting, Super Castlevania 4, Super Ghosts and Ghouls, Super Mario Kart, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars, Super Mario World, Super Metroid, Super Punch-Out, Legend of Zelda Link to the Past, and Yoshi's Island. However, it also includes the never-before-released Star Fox 2. We're not going to be jerks and spoil any of that experience for people, but we do have a tip for you if you're itching to try that game out first. You can't actually access it until you beat the first level of the original Star Fox. If you want, you can also download a manual for Star Fox 2 online for every other game. You can select to view the manual through the SNES Classic's menu. As for the menu itself, it's just about the same as the NES Classics, with the ability to sort games by type. One of the new methods of sorting, thanks to the system's two-player capability, is the option to view two-player games. You can also sort by single-player, publisher, title, recently played, times played, and release date. And you might actually be surprised what games you're able to play in two-player mode. That list includes Contra 3, Donkey Kong Country, Final Fantasy 6, aka 3, Kirby Superstar, Kirby's Dream Course, Secret of Mana, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Super Mario Kart, and Super Mario World. If you're confused about two-player Final Fantasy 6, that's always been a feature. You can play two players during the game's turn-based battles, with the second player controlling a designated party member. And if you want, you can even be a dick and fuck up your friend's blitz commands. In terms of other menu options, you've got the CRT mode, 4x3 mode, and Pixel Perfect mode, just like with the NES Classic. There are also a variety of borders to choose from with different styles and colors, some of which will change depending on the game you're playing. And those games can be saved at any point where you rage quit or want to try something else out, thanks to Suspend Points. You'll be able to have up to 4 save slots per title, which now have an additional bonus of being rewindable, meaning now you can replay tougher sections of games if you die, with the ability to rewind about a minute back from your save point. Another cool part of those suspended games and rewinds is that the SNES Classic can use them as systems demos, meaning that when the system demos games, it'll be playing your specific footage. So yeah, feel free to turn that on if you want to brag about a speedrun or something, or turn it off if you're particularly ashamed about your playing in Kirby. However, one feature that gamers might be wanting, just like the NES Classic, there's no way to get the menu screen from the controller itself. That means you'll have to get up and press the reset button manually, just like you did when you were a kid, in order to get back to the menu. In terms of dimensions, the footprint of the SNES Classic itself is almost exactly the same as the NES Classic. It literally fits in the palm of your hand. And as we already mentioned, it's got 2 controller ports for you and a buddy. The controllers themselves did address one common complaint about the NES Classic. They're almost double the length of the original NES Classic cables, measuring at 4.5 feet of a whopping game cordage. While this sounds nice, it's still a pretty small cable in practice, so you might want to do yourself a favor and grab some kind of cable extender if you don't plan sitting on the floor cross-legged and looking up your TV like you did when you were a kid. Fortunately, you can grab plenty of NES cable extenders on Amazon, and we will make sure a link goes to one in the link dump. And another interesting tidbit, if you have an NES Classic and prefer the SNES controller, it will work in the NES Classic, and vice versa if for some reason you want to play your SNES games without some extra buttons. No judgment here. Everybody likes a challenge. So that about does it for our roundup of everything you need to know about the SNES Classic before you go try your hand at getting one. How many of you guys are planning on picking up one of these consoles? Did you get a pre-order, you lucky duck? Let us know in the comments. And if you want to see the SNES Classic in action before it releases, be sure to subscribe to The Know, where we will be streaming the SNES Classic later on this week. And for more information on the fall's biggest releases, be sure to check out our Know Before You Go series.